Gather real quick.
How are you? Okay. Yeah. Nobody likes to cry. Nobody likes to
After that, you can.
No, Haywood, like the sports and stuff, they like 16, 14 seasons standing there, 14 stickers, or they move, like if they come to the moment.
And it's funny because you're so
Are you good? Yes, sir. You ready?
Just look at the food for a couple seconds. I don't want to spoon this like, just like that. The light is good. I'm trying to get good light on my head.
This is from the food.
Yeah, just don't look at me. I'm not here.
yeah, look at me.
Thank you so much.
Oh, there you go.
Good. You ready to roll? Good. Can we kind of balance it out a little bit? We'll do it.
I think right next to
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stacy Bullock. I am a representative and a church administrator here at Love Fellowship Tabernacle, where Bishop Hezekiah Walker is our pastor. Also the acting director of the Greater Works Food Pantry. And I just wanted to welcome everyone here today for this much needed critical conversation and discussion put on by our very own Senator Art Haywood, and we just want to welcome him to the podium at this time and just thank him for taking the time out and creating this space where we can have this very important discussion.
So thank you very much, Stacy, and thank you to everyone from Love Fellowship. This is an amazing location and a fantastic place for this event. So I want to thank you for allowing us to be here. I am Senator Art Haywood. I'm not that far from here. I live in Montgomery County and represents parts of Montgomery County and Philadelphia County. But I'm here with you today because there are significant changes occurring for individuals who receive SNAP food assistance. And so I'm so glad to be joined by local as well as our state DHS Deputy Secretary, who will give us even more detail about what these changes involve. But I just want to give you a quick overview from conversations that I have had with people in my district. And I've shared on this journey where we've been to Pottstown, Lancaster, we've been to Strasburg, Philadelphia, and this is another opportunity for us to share. So let me share a few things that people have, questions that have been asked. I do these telephone town halls where I call people, and it's like a couple thousand people will join. And our topic in August was SNAP food assistance. So we had some experts talk about the new rules, and then we got questions. So one question was from a retiree, 62 years old, on a fixed income. And her question was, will these requirements to work or be in job training or volunteer, will these requirements apply to me? And my answer was yes, just as you were shaking your head, yes. Because the new age beginning in about a couple of weeks will be for anyone who's able-bodied 64 to 18. 62, 63, 61, all are now in the new requirements. On that same call, as I've shared a number of times, I had a woman say that she is working 15 hours a week, and that's all the work that her employer will give her. Now, 15 hours a week will not meet the 80 hours required. So I said to her, you may have to try to find some kind of volunteer opportunity to meet the difference, because these changes are occurring. Y'all with me so far?
Yes.
Black church crowd. Now, the other thing I shared, we were at a Save-A-Lot grocery store in the district where the owner, or the manager, said 80%, 8 out of 10 people who come to the store who shop are receiving SNAP food assistance. 8 out of 10. So he was very concerned that if his customers don't have this assistance, then he might have to lay off folks, cut hours, and he did feel some threat his store might not survive. So these are new paperwork requirements. So many people who are receiving SNAP food assistance are already working or in school, some volunteering. But the paperwork that they will have to submit in order to keep assistance is demanding. Now, this all comes from the Trump administration and Congress. This does not come from the state. Don't blame us in the state for this. Please do not. It doesn't come from DHS. Don't blame them. But it comes to us from the national government. It lands with us in our communities from the national government. What we are trying to do with this tour is let people know the time to comply is now. Some of these requirements began September 1st. It's already the middle of October. So some folks are already 6 weeks behind in complying and getting this information. That is the main reason we're here, to ask you to help us to get the word out about these new requirements so that your neighbors, our friends can maintain the food assistance that's so critical so folks don't go hungry. Are y'all with me?
Yes.
So I now want to turn over to Adrian King, who's the president of the Bucks County NAACP, who really was critical in getting us all together, getting the invitations out. Thank you. Thank you so much, Adrian, for making all of this happen. We can't do it alone. We can't do it alone. Thank you for your assistance.
Thank you so much, Senator Haywood. Thank you, everyone, for showing up today. My name is Adrian King, as Senator Haywood said. I want to thank Love Fellowship for having us and the senator and his team for helping with all the logistics and bringing this together. Good afternoon, and thank you for welcoming me to this forum. I'm honored to stand here and address this issue that goes to the heart of dignity and health and equity and access to food in our communities. When I first received the email from Senator Haywood's team, the first person that came to mind for me as being impacted is my mother. My mother doesn't live in Bucks County, she lives in Montgomery County, but she does receive SNAP benefits. I know that growing up as a child, that was part of what our household thrived off of. My husband too. It's not necessarily a reality my daughters know, but family members are impacted by this. And even as late as this week, talking to my mom saying, "Mom, do you know about what's going on with SNAP benefits?" She has no idea. She has no idea. Now, thankfully, she's blessed to have a daughter that is in this space and understands it and has some of these things at her fingertips. And I immediately started to go through the checklist to say, is this going to impact her? And when I first heard about these changes coming, I kept saying, "Mom, if you get something in the mail that's about your SNAP benefits, call me and let's read through it." Now, thankfully, she's not going to be impacted by these changes, but I know that my mom is just one example, and that there are others out there who are going to be impacted, who are just as not connected to what's going on as she is. And we, as a branch here in Bucks County of the NAACP, have to make it our mission to make sure that our people in this county understand the impact. As Senator Haywood said, we're behind the 8 ball now. Time is already checked away. We can't get that time back, but we have to make sure that people are getting the information that they need. We know that Black, Brown, and other marginalized communities are disproportionately impacted when changes like this happen to these benefits. When there's stricter work requirements, there's changes to parental exceptions, it leaves the families vulnerable. And we want to make sure that our families here in this community know what the impact is and that we give them the information that they need in order to put themselves in the best position. Food is more than sustenance. It's a culture, it's health, and it's justice. Communities of color have long been on the front lines of inequities in access to food, and we cannot accept policies that deepen those disparities. The Bucks County NAACP is committed to raising our voices, advocating for equity, and ensuring that no family has to choose between paying rent, putting food on the table. But this is not work that we can do alone, and I'm thankful that you all are here with us today. Let us use this moment to listen, to lift our voices, and too often unheard, our voices who are too often unheard, and to take action to ensure food access is a right and not a privilege to every member of this community. Thank you. I'm going to hand it off to Whitney.
Hi, my name is Whitney Drukier, and I'm the operations manager for the Mitzvah Food Program. The Mitzvah Food Program is a division of the Jewish Federation, which serves our local community at 4 different food pantries throughout the greater metro area, one of which is here in Bensalem. Over the past year, we have served over 1 million pounds of food to nearly 8,000 clients. And approximately 1/3 of our current client roster has come to our pantry doors for the first time over this past year due to recent financial hardships. All our clients vary in age, race, religion, and we serve all who come to our doors. At our Bensalem location specifically, alone this past year, we served 267 families, 639 individuals, a total of 127,486 pounds of food, 30% of which was fresh produce and proteins. Serving our clients fresh produce and protein is an important part of our mission. These are nutrient-rich foods and provide our food insecure clients with the best quality nutrition. We supplemented our clients with nearly $8,000 in food purchasing gift cards. Through our incredible partners like Bucks County Opportunity Council, we serve monthly senior food boxes at our Bensalem location, an additional way to supplement our low-income seniors. And we participated in the Gap Meals program with Fill Abundance, serving our children additional frozen healthy meals for the winter and spring breaks. As we're coming into this holiday season, we are concerned about the dramatic cuts we've noticed in our food donations in the past few months due to the federal budget cuts. They have already had a dramatic impact on community members and what our clients are able to put on their tables. Private donations are more challenging as well. People from all socioeconomic levels are being more cautious about how they spend their money. As we're looking towards Thanksgiving, we have been so proud these past few years to provide turkeys to our largest families for the holidays. However, this year we are not quite sure that it will be a possibility. The upcoming changes to SNAP will have a devastating impact on our community. Many of our clients will no longer be able to receive this benefit. They will become more reliant on pantries like ours in the coming months. Unfortunately, the financial impact of these federal cuts will make serving this growing community more challenging to the pantries who have vowed to serve. Pantries like mine try our best to serve our community members with the utmost dignity, but we cannot do this alone. We need the support of our community and our government representatives to ensure we can uphold our mission. Thank you for your time. Next is Elizabeth with Bucks County Opportunity Council.
Thank you, Whitney. Hello, my name is Elizabeth Zabinden. Thank you so much for having us today. Stacy, you did fabulous. Thank you so much for offering this space and doing everything. I am the food program manager at the Bucks County Opportunity Council. At BCOC, we see every day what it means when families can't afford enough food. Our network of pantries, farms, and community partners work hard to make sure no one in Bucks County goes hungry. But lately, the need is growing faster than the resources available to meet it. The recent SNAP cuts and changes to SDA food programs are already being felt here. Even a small reduction in benefits can mean several fewer meals each week for families who are already stretched thin. SNAP has always been the backbone of how we fight hunger in this country. For every meal provided by a food bank, SNAP provides about 9. When that support is reduced, it creates an immediate ripple effect. More people turning to food pantries, longer lines, and more strain on local organizations that are already doing everything they can to fill the gap. When funding or food support is lost, it's not just about fewer boxes of food on the shelves. It means less fresh produce from local farms. It means fewer proteins and staples that families depend on. And it means more seniors, parents, and children going without the foods that keep them healthy. These losses add up in a real way for real people. But even in the middle of these challenges, I see much hope. Every day, people in Bucks County step up. Volunteers who give their time, farmers who share their harvest, pantry coordinators who stretch every pound of food they can. This community is full of compassion and generosity. What we need now is for that same spirit of care and consistency to exist at every level, local, state, and federal. Programs like SNAP and USDA food assistance need to be strong and reliable. And at the same time, we need to keep investing in the community networks that bring those supports to life. When those two things work together, the system becomes stronger for everyone. Food is dignity, it's stability, it's health, and it's connection. Every family deserves that peace of knowing they can put food on the table. And when we all work together, government, nonprofits, farms, and neighbors, we move closer to a community where that's true for everyone. Thank you guys so much, and I will be now passing the mic to Deputy Wham Bam.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
I'm gonna sit down.
Sure, not a problem.
Yes,
Please, please,
You're
please.
gonna be on for a while.
I've got a lot to go through. You're right. You're absolutely right, Senator Haywood. And while you are taking your seat, I just wanted to say again, thank you for organizing these conversations. I think this is my third or fourth with you. And can I just say, Senator Haywood, thank you. With all of these things that are happening, with all of these changes that are happening, the cruelty that it is reaping in our communities, I want to say thank you for running towards a fire. You knew people needed to know what was happening so they could be aware, informed, and take action. You took action, and I just want to say we are well represented by you, so thank you. I want to thank Stacey. Thank you. I want to say thank you, Stacey, for organizing, giving us space here. Stacey, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Bleary-eyed here. Well, then I double down. Thank you especially for welcoming us into your space and for the opportunity to connect with you all about changes that are happening at the federal level. Again, thank you. Not so much thank you at the federal level. We come here today to talk about how we can come together as caring community members, as neighbors, as leaders to help protect our neighborhood. My name is Wafam. I have the pleasure and honor of serving as the Deputy Secretary for the Office of Income Maintenance at the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services, which is a whole lot of words to say. Things related to Public Benefits Administration, I happily take on with my team across the Commonwealth. We have about 6,800 public servants who work in all 67 counties in our county assistance offices, lending support. And I will tell you, I feel this through and through in my bones. I know this to be true, that all of these changes that have been delivered to us and that we will continue to have to convey to neighborhoods across the Commonwealth, we did not sign up for this. We did not ask for this. We know in our heart of hearts, we take on this work as public servants, as neighbors, to help people. We do this out of love, and we also take seriously our jobs to be stewards of taxpayer dollars. We have integrity in the work that we do. And all of this narrative you hear about fraud, waste, and abuse, or dollars going to undocumented citizens or people who don't deserve it, that is not what is happening. And yet here we are. DHS's portfolio covers a whole variety of public assistance programs. Medicaid and SNAP are the two biggest. And they are essential parts of our healthcare ecosystem and our economy throughout the Commonwealth. And both of those programs are deeply impacted by the Republican budget bill that passed earlier this summer, just 3 months ago, 3 whole months ago. And you came to this session, I'm assuming, because you care. You want to know more. You want to pass on the good word, good, maybe not so good word, to your friends, to your family members. You may or may not know somebody who has received their health care coverage through Medicaid. And I want to say this to you so you can carry this message on to your family members, your communities. No matter where a person gets their health care coverage, Medicaid matters. If you are a person who lives in the United States of America, the richest country in the world, you expect the basic dignity of having access to health care. And any one given person may not rely on Medicaid for their health care coverage, but that payment into that hospital or to that health care provider is vital. And so protecting Medicaid is necessary for public health for all of our communities, for the financial stability of the hospitals that we all rely upon. And SNAP is our country's most important anti-hunger program. In Pennsylvania, we help support about 2 million Pennsylvanians. That spans children, that spans young adults, that spans adults, that spans older adults. And every SNAP dollar invested directly invests in grocers, food producers, our farmers that our Commonwealth economy relies upon, business owners, the workforces that support them, anyone who's related to making and selling food, SNAP impacts. So yes, we care about the dignity of food, but we also know that it has a multiplier effect on our economy. This matters. And that Republican budget bill makes a number of changes to SNAP and Medicaid over the next year and a half. We're not talking all just today. It is stretched out over time. And all of those changes are going to create additional requirements for certain people, not all people, some people, and the devil is in the details over that year and a half. There is a real risk that stricter administrative requirements, that red tape, is going to cause people to lose access to their benefits. And not because they're not eligible for them, but because people, as people, have a hard time navigating more red tape. And I will just raise my hand as very, very guilty and privileged to be in this position. Raise your hand if you have ever had a parking ticket double because you forgot to pay it on time. Exactly. We are all guilty of missing that step. So can you imagine what that means for people who have the world on their shoulders, who are navigating all of these complex processes? There's real risk that they may lose access to their SNAP. So, doom and gloom. What are we doing about it? We are at DHS working hard as we can to streamline and simplify systems to help people understand and prepare for these changes, again, that were delivered to us by the Trump administration. We can't stop these changes unless we raise our voices, and what we can also do is keep focused, and our goal is to help people through the transition as much as we can, and we're gonna need everyone in this room and your help. So let's just start with what's happening most immediately with SNAP. The changes to SNAP, as Senator Haywood already referenced, are already underway, and they're happening across multiple phases this fall, 2025, right now, and moving over for the next couple of months. So let's start first with back on September 1st, waivers that Pennsylvania has had for years of work and reporting requirements expired. That means that we're no longer able to waive work reporting requirements for SNAP for adults who are able to work, or who are able to volunteer, or who are able to go to school or job training program, unless they meet an exemption, and that is statewide. We have not had to do that for years in the Commonwealth, so that's a big change. And because of this change, because of that waiver expiring, SNAP recipients who are ages 18 to 54 without a dependent child under the age of 18, and here we go into the details now, who are physically and mentally unable to work, or excuse me, who are physically and mentally able to work, must now start working, volunteering, or be enrolled in a school or job training program for at least 20 hours a week or 80 hours a month. And if they're working or volunteering or participating in a job training program or in school, they also have to tell us. They have to tell DHS, take that extra step, tell DHS that they are in fact doing these things. If a SNAP recipient isn't meeting that requirement and telling DHS, reporting that they are meeting that requirement to DHS, then that person is subject to a time limit on their SNAP. It means that they're only going to be eligible for 3 months of SNAP within a fixed 3-year time period, or they have to start meeting the requirement new. So here's a good example. If someone needs to report hours worked beginning September 1st, and they don't report that they're meeting those hours in September, October, November, 3 months straight, they will no longer be able to receive SNAP benefits starting in December. What day is today? October, what are we? 14th? We're right in the middle. We are halfway through to December. Okay, so that's part one. I don't enjoy sharing the doom and gloom, but we all need to know. We need to be informed. Phase two, also as a result of the new changes passed by Republicans in Congress this summer, just 3 short months ago. These new changes are now going to expand the type of people who now have to meet that work or education or volunteering requirement and then report that to DHS, or they'll be limited to that same 3 months I just referenced before. So starting November 1st, Pennsylvania is now going to have to expand the work reporting requirements to include anyone who's age 18 to 64. Right now, it's 18 to 54. Starting November 1st, it goes more, increases the age range. It's now going to include people who do not have a child under the age of 14 years old. Right now, a dependent child, how would you define a dependent child? How old are they? 18, right. I think most people say 18, 25 if you support young adults too, right? Most people don't say 14. I think it's, exactly. The new Republican budget bill changes the definition of dependent. So starting November 1st, if you have a child under the age of 14, you are now expected to meet. And if you are physically and mentally able to work, as referenced before. And then other changes, the hits just keep on coming. So that Republican budget bill also changed the exemptions that are available to people. So if you qualify for an exemption, it means you don't need to meet the work and reporting requirements. So that Republican budget bill I mentioned reduced exemptions, eliminated exemptions for veterans, people who have gave of their body, of their time, of their health to serve this country. It removed the exemptions for unhoused individuals or individuals experiencing homelessness. And it removed the exemption for current or former foster youth age 18 to 24, some of our most vulnerable young adults in this Commonwealth. It means that all of these groups, all of these people now will be required to meet that 80 hours per month work, school, or volunteering requirement. I will say, this is one of the spaces where states, SNAP agencies like DHS may have a little bit of flexibility here. So my team is exploring whether or not we have the option to continue to provide an exemption for unhoused individuals. So more to come there. But I would argue that that is a population that is amongst the most vulnerable. And talk about a population that is the most among the most deserving and qualifies for an exemption from work and reporting requirements. So I know, okay, I just threw a ton at you. These are big changes that ultimately risk cutting people off from life-sustaining food assistance. This is an essential need. People need this to feed themselves. They need to feed their bodies, their souls, to be well enough to work, to be able to go to school, to lead healthy lives, to support themselves and their families, to be active members of their communities. I know that changes like this are really difficult to navigate. I live and breathe every single day. The technicality, the maybe an exception here, and maybe there's something a little bit different here. I know it's hard. It starts with conversations like this. I know, sadly, that states who have already tried to implement work reporting requirements in SNAP or in other public assistance programs already, we know from experience, the data tells us what has happened in these tried and failed attempts is that people just get kicked off of the benefit. They have difficulty navigating the reporting process, and then they lose access to their benefit. Not necessarily because they weren't eligible. That's a problem, and a problem we need to address. As we continue to push back and say, no, we don't want this, we didn't sign up for it, we, DHS, are still obligated to follow federal law. So to meet this moment, my team and I at PADHS are working with partners, of course, like our state senators, our representatives, and the community leaders here and across the Commonwealth. We're trying to make sure that we do everything that we can to prevent this from happening, that loss of that benefit from happening, and that people still have access to critical supports like food assistance. Again, basic, essential function. Last month, my team started sending surveys to SNAP recipients who we expect to be impacted by these work reporting requirements. And again, I say these words to you so that they infiltrate your brain and you can share them with your loved ones and your community members. These surveys, if you receive them, are not an eligibility determination from DHS. These are surveys, optional, that we are asking people to fill out and give us that information back so we can determine whether or not someone might qualify for an exemption. We're trying to reduce the barriers to employment, education, volunteering as much as we can. Other things that we are doing to help, we've launched a website to help people understand these changes, so you don't have to take down all of these notes, and the senator was so nice in pulling together this very handy-dandy one-page piece of information. If you, in the off chance that you are like me and immediately fold a piece of paper as fast as it's in your hand, and you need that piece of paper again or the information that's on it, you can go to our website, dhs.pa.gov/work, that has plenty of very good information about what these changes are, what people need to do to report that they're meeting their requirements, either, again, through a job, a volunteer opportunity, or through an education or training program. It has information about where people can go to sign up for a job training program, centralized information. We're adding more and more information to this every single day, so please, please, please check this website often. I also want to encourage this room, again, you showed up because you care. You are leaders in your own communities here in Bensalem. I want to encourage you to think about ways that you can help us be a part of the solution. Think about how you can help your community navigate these new pieces of very large red tape. So for instance, if you are a nonprofit organization, you might have a program that can offer volunteer hours for people who need to meet that work and reporting requirement. That volunteer opportunity could make all of the difference for someone who's at risk of losing their SNAP benefits. So please, I want to ask you to consider hosting a volunteer opportunity. And before you think, oh my gosh, these are SNAP recipients all across the Commonwealth who are not going to know where to turn. We're working on that one too. So as of November 1st, we are going to be launching an option on our PA Navigate website. It's a referral and resource information exchange. pa-navigate.org. Again, that's pa-navigate.org. Users, which again, open to anyone in the Commonwealth, to the public, They'll be able to search for structured volunteer opportunities, and organizations can indicate that they are looking for volunteers. Again, that function is going to go live on November 1st. If you are a 501c3 or a faith-based organization, a nonprofit that has a volunteer opportunity, please visit that website, pa-navigate.org, to claim your volunteer opportunity and share that with anyone who is a SNAP recipient who might need to meet their hours. I keep on saying we're having this conversation in mid-October for a bill that was passed just this summer, just 3 months ago. There's clearly been very little lead time to get the word out about SNAP changes, so we really could use your help in getting good, accurate, trusted information out to communities. It's one thing for me to say it. I can't be everywhere. Senator Haywood can't be everywhere, but you all can help. We can lift all of our voices together to amplify that message, and I know you talking to your brother, talking to your cousin, talking to your neighbor means a heck of a lot more than a soundbite on cable television. No offense. As you are thinking about the best way to communicate and be a trusted messenger to your loved ones, to your community members, I want to give you one action item. One of the most important things that people can do right now is making sure that DHS has an individual's current mailing address, and that when they change their mailing address, that they also do it with the U.S. Postal Service. All of these changes are happening. DHS is going to send people mail when we need you to do something to maintain your benefits. We appreciate snail mail. We can't send you information and alert you to take action if we don't know where to send it to. And if we send it to the wrong place, that means someone's missing important information. They need to do something. So please, 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 as you are having conversations with your loved ones about all of these changes that are happening, encourage them to make sure that they have the most up-to-date address with DHS and the U.S. Postal Service. I won't go too far into the weeds about Medicaid, but I did mention earlier that the Republican budget bill delivered us a whole bunch of changes across the programs we administer, Medicaid included. Those are, oh my gosh, so far away. Those don't come until the end of 2026. I say this very jokingly. It is not a joke. We have a little bit more time to plan and to breathe. We'll have more information about what Medicaid changes means for our communities later as we get closer to that date, but again, for now, we're talking about SNAP. So I think I will close by saying this, that there's a lot of noise and information. It is so important for good, trusted information to come from people we know. People who look like us, people who communicate like us, people who can show up in rooms like this in forums that people trust and share good, accurate information. You came here because you want to be informed. You came here because you want to help. And I'm going to ask you, please, help your neighbors. Be on the lookout for information, for resources from DHS, from you all. Check out that website, dhs.pa.gov/work. We're going to continue to add information. These cuts that were delivered by the Republican budget bill are seeking to create divisions in our communities. They are seeking to punish some of the most vulnerable among us, and we are not going to let them. We are going to band together as leaders because we care, and we are going to get through this together. That is so much. I hear some spirit and some life in you, and that is exactly what I needed. That is exactly what I needed. I am reminded I'm in church. Thank you. Thank you.
So we are, thank you so much. And as has been said, she's been on several of these tours so that we can have the most accurate information to provide to our friends and neighbors. So at this point, we're glad to take any questions that anyone may have. I didn't really mean we. The Deputy Secretary will take any questions that you may have for further clarification. Yes, ma'am, please go ahead.
My name is Erin Haywood. I had a question about the cuts that are coming. Is there any plan at like the local level to help supplement some of the finances that these organizations will no longer receive?
Do you want to start? I can start.
Local, so the local, state or otherwise, yes. And let me just give you some framework. During the COVID-19 crisis, the national government provided over $1 million to our state DHS to get the word out of the changes. This time, there's no money for them to do the same thing, which is why I and others are trying to play the role of going around to let people know. So that's number one in terms of support. Let me address the state. So right now, as you may or may not know, the state has not approved a budget. We do not have a budget approved from the state because of some folks who are intransigent, but nevertheless. So the state budget does not have the resources, is not going to have the funding to provide significant support to DHS. Extra people they may need to do the work, they're not getting money for that. Extra communications to do the work, they're not going to get any money to do that. I think that's, yeah, so the state's not providing more money to DHS. The state's barely making it on its own. We can't cover what the national government is cutting. State cannot cover what the national government is cutting. Now, for local communities, they're all over the place. You know, we got 2,000 different local governments in Pennsylvania. We got a lot of local governments. I don't see them being more able to cover the difference either. But what I believe local governments can do is spread the word so that folks know how to comply. Local governments can have forums like this to share the word so people know how to comply. That, I believe, is a critical role for local governments to do, as well as get some of the local nonprofits to get onto the Navigate site and say we have opportunities. That's a coordination role that local leadership can play. Those are a few suggestions.
Thank you, Senator Haywood, and I would double down on everything he just said. The one thing that I would add is I think the average Pennsylvanian does not see a distinction between Senator Haywood, Deputy Secretary Pham, Congress at the federal level, President Trump, State Representative XYZ. They don't see a difference. They just see government.
That's right.
And you have heard us say just this afternoon, being very important to not just point fingers, but to be factual, to be accurate, to say, DHS didn't sign up for this. We are having to comply with meeting federal law that was passed by Republicans in Congress and signed by President Trump. I think while we are focused on complying with the law, which is a bunch of changes and unfunded mandates, we're not getting more help. We're not getting more help from the feds. Oh, I'm not entirely sure if we're going to get more help from the State General Assembly, but Senator Haywood has more to say on that one than I do. What I will simply say is, I think as we are navigating all this, it is really important for us to be focused on where is this actually coming from. There is power in truth, especially if we are willing to raise our voices about it. Yeah.
We are a nonprofit, and I would be happy to, we have a long listserv of our clients. We give them the option if they want to give us contact information like email addresses. We usually use it for things like if we're closed because of inclement weather. We actually did do a food preferences survey for how we're using some of the money that we're spending on them. But I'm also happy to send things like this out, so we do reach thousands, so we're happy to do that. We do have some volunteers that are currently volunteering with us at our food pantries. Do we need to go onto that Navigate and sort of like backtrack, say, like they have been volunteers with us for months now, so definitely September 1 on, to just sort of get is it like a pre-approval for them?
That is a great question. So I will describe, and if folks didn't hear it, it was generally a question around, hey, we run a community-based organization that has already volunteers. What is my obligation to the Commonwealth? Is that a fair?
Yeah.
Yep. Great question. Great question. So We are trying to alleviate as much administrative burden and paperwork and process as we can. So our expectation is that if a SNAP recipient is meeting their work and reporting requirement through volunteering, there is one form that they can submit. You can find that form on our website, by the way. You don't have to go looking for it. That form can be filled out by any nonprofit organization, 501c3, faith-based, et cetera. That form is very clear. It's one page, fills out asking for what's the name of the organization, how many hours, how frequently, the name of the person, of course, who's volunteering. The host organization, that nonprofit, can submit that form on behalf of the SNAP recipient. There's a very easy set of ways that you can do that. You can fax it to us, for those of us who still like to fax. You can mail it to us. You can upload it through any of our self-service online functions through our My Compass PA free, secure mobile application on Amazon and Google Play, or sorry, Apple and Google Play. Or our Compass website. That is something that the host organization can upload as that form as documentation, or of course the SNAP recipient themselves can, through any of those mechanisms I just mentioned, share that form with DHS. So it is not necessarily the case that you have to sort of backtrack through, I think I heard you reference like all the way back to September. If that person's their clock started on September 1st, then yes. And I mentioned, again, we're taking an eye towards making sure that we're alleviating as much red tape as we can, very specifically on the reporting piece. So it's not necessarily the case that someone needs to submit their volunteer form or, pay stubs to prove that they're working. They don't necessarily have to do that every month. You have to do it once when you're up for your, recertification, your renewal, so that we know you're meeting your requirement. And we, DHS, will assume you are continuing to meet that requirement unless you tell us otherwise. So in this case, for a community-based organization who's hosting a volunteer, if you sign off on that volunteer form, yep, has been volunteering for 80 hours over the last month and will continue to do so, we don't expect to hear from you again unless they no longer volunteer or they reduce their hours. Okay, so that's like one small, it's small, but it's not so small, change that we are making on our end to make it as easier, and I know that's a hard word to say in this context, but it is one thing that has been in our authority that we are happy to exercise to try to make it easier for people. And I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you for all of the work that you were doing and offering to share information.
Would you address some of the exemptions, some of the people who will be exempt from these paperwork requirements?
Sure, and I think you may have been yes, thank you. I'm going to point to my very, very handy, thank you, Senator Haywood, for organizing these on your one-pager. There are, despite the fact that the Congressional Budget Bill eliminated some exemptions for these very vulnerable populations, I mentioned them, veterans, unhoused individuals, former foster youth, there are still exemptions that still exist. I probably should have said that very explicitly. So if you are pregnant, for instance, temporarily, yes, of course, but exempt from the work and reporting requirement. If you are receiving unemployment compensation, that is a signal to us that you are in between jobs. How do you meet a work and reporting requirement if you are in between jobs? If you are participating in a drug and alcohol treatment program, as another example, if you have a physical or mental disability or some sort of medical condition that renders you unfit for work, there is a path for a SNAP recipient to submit a form. It's a medical exemption form, again, that lives on our website. You don't have to go hunting for it. It's a very easy place to find it. That is a form that a SNAP recipient can fill out with their healthcare provider, assuming that the healthcare provider signs off and says, yep, this person has a condition that limits their ability to work. They may qualify for an exemption. There's a whole other laundry list of other conditions that we are open to considering. Here's what I would say. Important information. Not every exemption requires verification. There are going to be some circumstances, because we work with people, right? And there's just like not rules that you can put in every single little thing. There will be some instances where we, DHS, a caseworker, will have to reach out to someone to get more information. But for the most part, most exemptions are ones that we can confer just based off of comment from the SNAP recipient. There are some instances where we might need a healthcare provider to sign a form, for instance. So I just wanted to sort of give that as context as you're having conversations with people. Recognize, yeah, there are tons of rules here. Everyone's circumstances are different. We know these rules are very complex. We are not shy about answering questions. So if there's a shadow of a doubt that you have in your mind, you're not sure, but what about this case? Happily encourage you all to give us a phone call, check out our website, drop into any of our county assistance offices. We have one, at least one in every single county in the Commonwealth. We are happy to answer questions. Yes, I got a question. Yep. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Callie. I'm with Philip Abundance. We're a food bank in the region, and I wanted to piggyback off the question around volunteering. I have a few maybe nitty-gritty questions. Maybe we can chat offline, but my main question is around hours. Am I correct? We've heard that while the 20 hours a week on average applies to, work, school, job training, but there's a slightly different calculation when it comes to how many volunteer hours a week we need in order to be compliant. Is that the case? And if so, can you explain what that number is or how you want it?
Yeah, so that one's going to be like a much more tricky policy question, and I'm going to, yeah. Yes, but I think what you're in that question, what you are highlighting is there's sort of the big rule that covers 95% of the scenarios, and then there's but there's exceptions to that. So I will start answering your question, and then I think we're going to have to get down to pen and paper. There are two things I'm going to highlight here. There are a couple of different ways that you can demonstrate volunteering in the Commonwealth. There's sort of standard, not Commonwealth, in our SNAP program in the Commonwealth. You can volunteer just as hey, Phil Abundance has volunteer opportunities, we want to offer that to you. There's also technically a volunteer portion that if it is certified and sponsored by DHS, as in we have a contractual relationship with you, that volunteer opportunity might look a little bit different. The hours for that might look a little bit different. And then here's the last thing that I will add to this conversation before we get into the brass tacks. And again, I have lots of policy in my brain, but I don't have all of them. So I'm happy to follow up with more detailed information for that question. The last thing that I will add is Senator Haywood referenced an example from a constituent, again, real life situation. A constituent that says, I work 15 hours this week. I can't get any more hours, but I work 25 hours next week. Is that okay? The answer is, it might be. I know that's really frustrating, but it might be. We talk about sound bites in this really complex policy. We boil it down to tidbits to convey information as quickly as we can. We say 20 hours a week and 80 hours a month. And that's mostly true, but there are some instances where that's not necessarily true. So I'll give you a good example. If someone is working 15 hours a week, but is earning more than $217.50 a week, they may be exempt from their work requirement. They may already be meeting it. Where does that come from? It's a very strange calculation in federal policy, but that is a real rule. So the answer is usually 20 hours a week, not always. And if you have a shadow of a doubt, your caseworker can tell you best. So we'll get more into the nuanced conversation about volunteering, but I wanted to spend some time talking about this issue because it's most of the time it's this simple, but then there are all of these exceptions, which is again making our point where we have all of these rules, all of these requirements. They are complex, they're confusing, and it's not surprising that people may lose access to their assistance just because they're trying to do the right thing, but they can't because it's difficult. We're doing our best to navigate and make sure that people have good information, but that is, I think, the real problem that stands before us. All of these complicated rules, that's the issue that we need to talk about. Thank you for that question. Yeah.
What other requirements are there outside of the work requirement? Are there other things that, I know you both mentioned about the amount of paperwork involved and people just trying to keep up with what needs to happen. Can you speak to any other requirements that you...
Sure. Are you interested just in SNAP or just sort of generally?
Well,
yeah.
SNAP.
Sure. So just generally speaking, to be eligible for SNAP, you have to meet a number of financial and non-financial factors. right? So we take into consideration your income, we take into consideration your household composition, we take into consideration your U.S. citizenship or very specific immigration status, and work and reporting requirements. So at a minimum in SNAP, we recertify you every 6 months. So initial application, let's just say Happy Path, congratulations, you're eligible for SNAP as of October 1. We will come knocking on your door again 6 months later in April. Outside of those like sort of full redetermination or recertification processes, there's also an obligation for the SNAP recipient to report anytime there is a change in your household circumstances. Remember, I said we confer eligibility based off of household composition, income factors. So let's say, for instance, you move, or your rent costs change. We need to know that. If your rent costs or if your rental expenses increase, that might change your benefit level. We need to know that. So that's at any given time when you have a change in your household circumstances, we want to hear from you within 10 days of the following month that the change happened. I know that these are things that we have to tack on. It's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of reporting. And I'm going to imagine that as times get tougher out there, people's circumstances are going to change very often. People might, out of necessity, not because necessarily their choice, out of necessity might have to move more. People's jobs change. I imagine that's going to happen more frequently. And again, the obligation is on that SNAP recipient to tell us. So that's sort of, in my nutshell, all of the reporting changes and requirements that exist within SNAP. And then all of HR 1, the Republican budget bill, also kicking off a bunch of other changes too, right? So we talked a lot about work requirements. There are also some other changes about, here's a really good example. Anytime there's a change in federal law, we expect the federal government, our federal partners, to send written guidance, like specific policy on what they expect us to do at the state level to comply with the law. There are some parts of that bill that go live November 1st, which is just 2 weeks away, that we still haven't gotten more specific guidance on. That's scary as heck. So we are doing our best to fill in the blanks of based off of our expertise, what we assume, what we have seen in years past for, bills of this nature to mean. But that gives you a good sense of there's probably more requirements out there that we're not quite sure what they mean yet. And that's a scary time to be in. I appreciate that question.
And so
yes.
With that being the case, right, coming from the faith-based, where we see a lot of black and browns who will pretty much, we all suffer from it, right? Mm-hmm. So how can we support it? Like, how can, what is it that we are supposed to be doing to help, especially the vulnerables, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know my role. And they're going to come, and they are coming. Mm-hmm. They have pain, right? And mm-hmm. It's like, what do I say? Mm-hmm. Other than trust God, okay? like really, that's not enough. Mm-hmm. That's not enough for a family of 4 who now I gotta say, call up some friends. Do y'all have any food over here? Mm-hmm. At your food pantry. Mm-hmm. Just today, that happened. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yes, they do, but okay now, but is this going to be our routine? Mm-hmm. And then the food pantry don't have because they done ran out of the benefits as well. Mm-hmm. Like, so what are we going to, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
How is people going to live? How is people going to survive? What? Like, I don't know.
I appreciate your honest feeling in that question, and part of it was just a statement of like, I don't know what you want me to do. This feels too big. And I just want to acknowledge that that is a very real feeling, and it is very founded by everything that we are seeing right now. So just, I want to thank you for being brave for saying that out loud, because I'm pretty sure everyone in this room has been thinking that this is too big. What can I do? What am I willing to do? And I will start by reflecting on, one, keep the faith. You can't lose whatever your faith is. I think that's important for us to hold on to. It's really easy in all of this for us to be stuck in the cynicism, but I mean, this room is an indication alone, like you showed up because you still care and there is still fight in you, there is still love in you, so please do not lose sight of that. I think for the very action-oriented things that you can do, continue to share good information. Again, I said it before and I will say it over and over and over again. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of disinformation. There's a lot of misinformation. Good, accurate information from trusted people. I hope I've done a good job of sharing it initially with you today. That website lives on. Please share that with your friends, your neighbors, your community members. Make sure that people have up-to-date mailing addresses with DHS and the U.S. Postal Service. Continue to share good information. If you are an organization who's willing to share a volunteer opportunity, do so. And I think in my heart of hearts, I don't know how quickly we're going to be able to rebuild the fabric of highly functioning government with the loss of federal support. Despite the fact that we are all Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars, U.S. federal taxpayer dollars, I don't see that rebuilding happening quickly enough for the damage that it has done. And I think that where that lands us is power coming back and responsibility. The only way we do this is at the local level. And I don't say that lightly. I know what that means. It means chaos. It feels if that is responsibility and burden on all of us. But again, you showed up because you want to know how to do that. It starts by acknowledging that no one's coming to help us but us. And so those phone calls that you already had today of calling up friends of, do you have some assistance that we can lend to, Brother Haywood today? I think that's what it's going to take. Obviously, I think there's more system building that needs to happen. I don't know what that looks like quite yet. It starts by this conversation, with all the things action items I just mentioned here, but it will have to continue to be neighbors helping neighbors. I really do believe that. And does anyone have anything?
Yeah. So I don't have anything to add to what Deputy Secretary Fon has shared. The only thing I want to say is we are so fortunate to live in Pennsylvania where the Deputy Secretary over Income and Maintenance will come to our communities. There's 50 states in the nation. There's 50 states in the nation. And I can assure you there's very few who have someone at that level coming down to our neighborhoods to explain how to, A, get assistance, but she went beyond that, how we can continue to build community. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
I'm here to represent 3 nonprofits. I'm the pastor of one of the churches here, Salem A&E, in Salem, and also Black clergy, and then Salem B3T was building it better than Salem. Speaking of that, and speaking of opportunities, how should I relate this to my colleagues, so that the opportunity for volunteers can be part of all of these networks? We all have different networks, and so it may be someone just snow is coming, somebody to clean up our payments, or senior citizens, or whatever. But we would like to. My second question is, we're 501(c)(3) and a couple of other ones I work with. In this area, is there a certain form to certify that we have to prove that we are 501(c)(3)? Because some people say they are, but they really not.
Yeah, I'll start. Well, first I should say, 3 nonprofits. You are a busy woman. Thank you for everything that you're doing. For getting the word out to your colleagues and other people who may be wearing multiple hats just like you are and have maybe 3 organizations to share some volunteer opportunities. Again, I want to stress that November 1st, there is a new, it's like a button or a tile on that PA Navigate website that's going live that will allow nonprofit organizations, 501c3s, faith-based organizations, churches, et cetera, to claim or list information about a volunteer opportunity. We haven't announced it like on the press quite yet. You're getting a preview of coming attractions. But once that goes live, I think the best thing that we could ask you to do is share that information, share that link with folks. And then the second question you had was around how do we check? So here's what I will say. We have that volunteer, we have one volunteer reporting form. It's very clearly laid out what organizations must be in order to fill out that form. It's 1.5, 2 pages long. We expect that when someone, an organization or a SNAP recipient fills out that form, that is accurate and true information. You have a much more specific question around whether or not we need additional information to verify that you are a 501c3. I do not have that off the top of my head, but I will take that as a homework item. Because that's an important technical question. Like, I'm pretty good. I can answer most questions, but those are what, I can't answer all of them. So I will commit to getting an answer back to what's the best way to share information. Is it to go through Stacy, through?
We'll get it out.
Okay, all right, thank you, thank you. These are good questions. And again, making our point that it's all about the details, right? Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a question, I just want to make a comment. I would think that putting this type of paperwork in our grocery bags for when they come get their food, they'll be able to look at this paper as opposed to seeing it on TV and 2 minutes later they don't forgot everything that was said.
That is a great idea. That is a great idea in the very definition of meeting people where they're at. I'll happily take that recommendation. I will say, Senator Haywood, we could probably use some help with getting some of these materials out. But thank you. I really appreciate that recommendation.
Also, thank you. Thank you.
Happy to. I can't say that I hail from Bucks County. I'm just in South Philly, but it's not too far away. And I feel like if you're in southeastern Pennsylvania, you're in southeastern Pennsylvania. So I'm quite certain that you all will have more questions as this marinates in your brain and as time goes on, and especially as you have more conversations with your family members, your communities. Again, want to encourage you, dhs.pa.gov/work. We are continuing to update information all the time. The types of questions that you have asked me today are probably ones that are going to appear on that website. So thank you for giving me questions. And I know that these are really complex and tricky rules. We can try as hard as we can to get good, concise information on our website. That's one thing. But I know that for some people, they're just going to have really special circumstances and you're just not quite sure what to do with them. Please do not hesitate to give us a call. I don't say that lightly. I know that we are going to get flooded also with questions, with paperwork. That is what we're here for. I mean, I didn't sign up for these kinds of requirements and changes, but we are here to serve. So don't feel like you're putting us out by reaching out to us. Yes.
One more quick question.
Yes.
To navigate the system, is it friendly?
That is a really fair question. I appreciate your candor because, hey, listen, I wouldn't come out here if I didn't want to hear the questions, right? Here's what I will say. We have prided ourselves in trying to make as many modern improvements to all of the ways that we serve people, right? DHS is a big organization. We serve a lot of different kinds of people. Some people want to walk into a county assistant's office. We got 92 across the Commonwealth. Those are going to continue to be available. There are some people who prefer mail. There are some people who prefer the phone. We still maintain all of those. And then there are some people who prefer self-service. Like, I don't want to talk to a soul unless I have to, unless I really, really have to. In those cases, we encourage people to use our mobile app, My Compass PA, or the equivalent, our website, Compass. Those are all avenues that are available to people. We are moving every single day to make process improvements, like experience improvements, so that it's easier for the person to navigate the process. It's good. It could always be better. So again, I think that's true of everything that we do in service. That is very much so top of mind for us. Again, it starts, yes, with getting the information out there, but if people can't do the thing that we ask them to do, that's just as big a part of the problem. So it's heavy on our mind. We're actively working on steps right now. We're going to continue to do that. The last thing I will add is we're also doing this in the context of getting no additional support from the federal government. But we're doing it anyway because it's the right thing to do.
And I guess the question came because if I had to open up my church, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm Reverend Angela Baker. I'm the pastor of Thornberry AME Church in Glen Mills, though.
Okay.
But I live in Philadelphia. I live in your district, Senator. I live at Broughton Chew. So I got people all over. And if we was to open up the church to provide, computers or whatever people need to be able to navigate and to do what they need to stay within with requirements, we can do some kind of literacy.
Yeah, I love that.
Opportunity.
Yes.
But we need to be educated, those that are helping. And so what other trainings can you provide for us as volunteers to make sure that we're giving out that accurate information? Also, I'm a social worker, but that's a sidebar.
Yes, ma'am. I love where your head is at. You are an active problem solver, just in the way that I love. So first question, if you were to offer up this space, offer up your space for computer access, first I would say that's a great idea. Thank you for even thinking of it. If you wind up doing it, even better. Thank you. Two, I will mention that the website that I keep on referencing, dhs.pa.gov/work, has small snippet training videos on it that you can share on how do I use Compass, how do I report that I'm how do I upload my pay stubs, or how do I upload this form? There are very short videos on our website exactly walking people through step by step how to do it. That is something you can absolutely share with your constituents.
We're going to wrap it up. We'll take your questions, hopefully after this is all completed, because Deputy Secretary Fine will still be here for another couple hours. Yeah, thank you, Pastor. And to the extent my office can be somewhat of a connector, we want to do that as well. Now, I would ask, we need to create a sign-up list so that we make sure we have all the emails. We have that sign-up. If you haven't signed up from today, please do so. That will allow us to send information to you that will be updates from this meeting. So please make sure you sign up and have. Yes, sir. And that's it. We are so pleased, Deputy Secretary Fine, that she was able to come. Thank for all the local community leaders as well. Thank you, Pastor Baker. Thanks for everyone. And we hope that you all will spread this information in the communities. We can't do it alone. I do want to say one other thing about DHS. It's been mentioned several times that this law changed in July. It's also been mentioned a few times that there's been no guidance from the national government about implementation. But the law was effective immediately. Effective immediately. So it is amazing that DHS has been able to race to this point in order to have the Navigate connection so your nonprofit you can get on, to share this information. We are in a tremendous race to get the information, accurate, trusted information to individuals. Thank you so much for doing that. Because again, I know there's other states not moving quite as quickly. And the county assistance workers are overwhelmed. The county assistance workers doing this much work and just got required to do this much work without much assistance other than what the department is able to provide. Please be kind. Please be kind to the county assistance workers who may not have all the answers, because again, it's all coming out, right? All the answers are not available, and we're doing the best that we can. Last thing I want to say is that I am as confident as Deputy Secretary Fon has shared that together we can help each other. Together we can keep some people getting food. Together, in another year or so, we can help some people keep their health care. But that's the only way it's going to happen. Thank you so much.
Until we get a picture.
Photo, yeah. We can do a group photo. Yeah, we can do a group photo. Whitney?
Other languages, is all the information we are working on expanding our trans. Typically, when we mail out forms, we do the top
we do a group photo, please? They want to do a group photo. Thanks a lot.
At a minimum.
All right, Whitney, come on over.